Australian police say 12 people have been killed in a mass shooting in Sydney, and another 29 are in hospital. One of the suspected gunmen has been killed. The incident took place at Sydney's famed Bondi Beach, which is typically crowded with locals and tourists on summer weekends. Officials say the shooting targeted the local Jewish community that had gathered to mark the festival of Hanukkah. The Australian Jewish Association posted this video online, which appears to show two gunmen shooting towards the event. The organization has called the shooting a tragedy, but entirely foreseeable. The state premier has addressed the media and formally declared the event a terrorist incident.
At approximately 6:47 this evening, two individuals began firing on a crowded group of families on Bondi Beach at Archer Park. This cowardly act of terrifying violence is shocking and painful to see and represents some of our worst fears about terrorism in Sydney. I very sadly need to report that as of now, there are at least 12 individuals that have been killed. One of the offenders has also been killed and one is in custody. This attack was designed to target Sydney's Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah. What should have been a night of peace and joy celebrated in that community with families and supporters has been shattered by this horrifying, evil attack.
The Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, also spoke at the news conference, and he specifically addressed Jews in Australia.
My message to Jewish Australians is that your fellow Australians stand with you tonight in condemning this act of terror, in condemning this outrage. We have had a number of conversations with people tonight. One of the Jewish community leaders said to me that we know where anti-Semitism leads, that it leads to an attack on everyone, not just Jewish Australians. And this attack at Bondi Beach, of all places, a place of celebration, a place where people, particularly in Sydney, but from all over the world, come to enjoy each other's company and to, in this case, at the Bondi Pavilion there. I'm very familiar with that pavilion. This senseless attack is one which is an act of terror. It is aimed at creating fear.
Let's cross to Sydney, where journalist Katie Silver is covering the story. Katie, give us the latest from the shooting. Are police still searching for a third person who may be involved?
Well, we very much still understand that the operation is ongoing. They are still trying to work out exactly how many people have been involved. In the press conference just over about an hour and a half ago, police wouldn't be drawn as to whether or not there was definitely a third party, but they said that they were leaving all avenues of investigation open. Now, we do understand that at the moment there is still rescue crews, there are still people and police and operations at the scene. There is still a very closely guarded section that has been all of the media has basically been taken out of that section now. We also understand that there are quite heavy winds. I'm not that far from there, and there's significant winds here as well. We understand, for example, that is actually hampering some of the rescue efforts because they are being blown with sand and gusts. That is the latest, but as we say, in the last hour or so, we heard about 29 people have been taken to hospital, including 2 police officers who were shot in the incident.
Can you confirm reports that police found an IED, an improvised explosive device, somewhere in the area?
Well, last we heard on that front, they said that they had a suspected IED and that they had deployed the bomb squad in order to investigate and to try and to make sure that it was all going to be safe and clear. But it is very interesting that they had seen that was going to be a potential issue as well. It does shed light to that forecast that it was indeed then found to be a terrorist incident. But as I say, they had dogs there and sniffer dogs as well, and found that what they did indeed suspect was an IED.
Tell us more about the event that was targeted here, this coming, of course, on the first day of Hanukkah.
Yeah, so according to authorities, they say there were 1,000 people at this event. It's called Hanukkah by the Sea. It was held on Bondi's foreshore. Bondi is a very beautiful part of Sydney, lots of stunning beaches there and around it, restaurants, cafes. It would have been very, very busy this time of night, about just before 7 o'clock at night. Lots of people out doing exercise or having fun. I was there only 24 hours earlier, and particularly this time of year, it is very, very busy and jovial. This particular event, as you say, this Hanukkah by the Sea, 1,000 people in attendance, lots of white deck chairs laid out. There are lots of Jewish people that live in this area as well. It's a very affluent part of Sydney. And so it was, as you say, a very important part of the Jewish calendar here.
Some of our viewers may not know what the gun control situation is in Australia. How easy is it to get your hands on firearms there?
Very, very, very difficult. So there was a mass shooting back in 1997. Dozens of people were killed in Tasmania, which is one of the small state off the bottom coast of Australia, the south coast. When that occurred, we saw huge reform happening to gun laws here in the country. Australia then was seen as something of a poster child about how gun control and gun reform can lead to just a complete ceasement when it comes to these sorts of mass shootings. As I say, we haven't seen anything like this in almost 3 decades. And as a result, particularly given how jovial Bondi can be, and particularly this time of year, Australia is absolutely devastated. It's all anybody is talking to me and messaging me about is how sad everybody is feeling about this.
That's a journalist, Katie Silver in Sydney. Many thanks.